Diaries of a Madman. Written by What Must I Do? Chapter 10. The Gala, Part 2. As soon as we stepped inside the palace, absolutely nothing happened. Everyone kept talking to each other or doing what they were originally doing.
I was expecting a more immediate reaction,
Luna quietly said, stopping and looking around. Why? We didn't exactly make a flashy entrance.
Were we supposed to?
We've already been over this, Luna. I've never been to one of these parties. All I can say is that small fry will gravitate to you because you're a princess. The highballers are gonna hang back, see how the tides are. Just gotta chill and deal with the bourgeois for a little while before the real marks take the bait. She was silent for several seconds before slowly saying,
Are we speaking the same language?
Before I could reply, some female horse said,
That is quite a striking dress, princess. Who made it?
We both turned and beheld a smiling mare and a nervous-looking stallion. I barely nudged Luna, getting her to answer.
A fashion designer in Ponyville.
Luna slowly answered, and that is when I stopped paying any amount of attention. I wasn't getting paid enough to even pretend to care about rich people problems. Since my job was eye candy, I just smiled, nodded, and did my best to look good. However, sometimes that causes problems.
I shall be back momentarily, Eagle.
Luna said after some time had passed.
Remain here.
Very well, Luna, I answered, already dreading the time until she returned. Oh god, no crutch. I wouldn't be so lucky. Not 15 seconds after Luna departed did the falcon swoop in for its presumed prize.
Poor little stallion with no mistress.
A disturbingly sensual voice whispered next to my face, a caress against my ear. I flinched and turned that way, but there was no one there. Then another whisper came from the other side.
Just waiting for somebody to claim him.
Once again, I turned that way. No one was there. My eyes narrowed when I felt a very unwelcome weight on my back.
Some pony that can make any fantasy come true.
Show yourself or leave, I demanded, getting very tired of this game.
Commanding. I love being ordered around.
The weight slipped from my back and a long-legged white mare stepped into view. Her hair was white and pink, and her eyes gave me what probably should have been a sexy stare, but only looked silly because she was a horse. Every single thing about her screamed slut to me.
And who are you, my handsome stallion?
Eagle, escort of Princess Luna, I flatly answered, wondering if she'd let me leave if I just turned around and walked away. My guess was no.
Oh, I don't see her around here.
She went to retrieve something, I replied.
And do you think she will return?
Momentarily, I said.
Plenty of time.
She breathed, inching closer.
What do you say you leave that old relic behind and spend some time with the most beautiful mare in Equestria?
Not interested. She blinked in surprise, and from that blink I immediately realized that I had made a mistake.
A challenge,
She said with a slowly growing smile.
She's been trapped on the moon for 1,000 years. She's rusty, old-fashioned. What pleasure could she give you that I could not?
The pleasure of good company, I shot back. Her eyebrows jerked slightly and I knew I scored a point, but the battle was far from over.
I've been voted the most beautiful mare in Equestria several years running. Several ponies have compared my beauty to that of a flame. Hot, dangerous, entrancing.
The last word was barely whispered, her voice going soft. A flame will light a room. The moon lights the entire sky and all the world under it. And what is your flame that will flicker and die when compared to the moon, as eternal and unchanging as the stars themselves? Her face was slowly becoming apoplectic.
I am rich, powerful, and young.
She practically yelled, drawing many heads our way. From the looks on their faces, they had already been listening, or were surprised to see the debate going on for so long. Luna owns the entire country, Not that wealth or power matters to one such as I. And with age comes wisdom, which is more fulfilling and attractive than any youth ever could be. One of her eyes was constantly twitching at this point.
I know every way there is to please a stallion.
And I imagine you used every one on a different partner. I've no desire to throw a hot dog down a hallway, and I imagine your cunt is even worse. Her mouth just dropped and her entire face turned red. There were gasps and snickers from all around us.
I will end you!
She hissed, trying to surge forward to throw herself at me. She didn't get any closer than she already was as Luna stepped out from the crowd.
I suggest you leave, Trollop,
Luna declared, her eyes narrowed in rage. If I had to guess, I'd say her magic was keeping the mayor away from me.
This beast impugned my honor!
The mayor shouted.
I demand dueling rights! And you impugned mine when you were attempting to steal him from me,
Luna coldly answered.
I suggest you rescind your demand, or I will press my dueling rights.
I don't know how much Luna's reputation had to do with it, but the white mare's ears flicked down. However, her eyes narrowed as her head turned to me.
You missed out,
she said in some stupid attempt to save face, or possibly getting the last word since she turned around right after. On a disease, maybe, I replied as she stalked away. Well, that was fun, I said with a smile, turning back to Luna. She was also wearing a smile, but hers was somewhat more sinister.
Come, Eagle, let us walk.
Oh boy. We started walking to the party again, getting considerably more looks this time. When we were away from the place where the incident occurred, she said,
So, not a poet, hmm?
How much of that did you hear?
Oh, all of it,
she said, for some reason sounding very pleased with herself. Fuck. I'm acting as your date, right? It would be remiss of me to not support you.
But so vehemently, and with such wounding words to the poor mare. I imagine her pride will smart for some time.
It probably also made her your enemy. And mine, not that it matters. If she's as popular as she thinks she is, we might have just cut off a major avenue for you.
Maybe, but my honor is more important, I believe. Now, would my champion like some boon for protecting his princess's honor?
Nah, I replied after a second of pretending to think. She actually froze in step in surprise, throwing her off balance. So, now what? I asked, ignoring her shock. She recovered quickly, I'll give her that.
Most ponies know better than to deny a princess when she offers you a boon,
she slowly said. I'm not a pony, I quietly shot back. So, again, now what?
We find something to dine upon,
she said, seeming somewhat disappointed.
Thankfully, there is little lack of variety.
You want me to find us a table while you get some? I asked, casting a short glance around the seemingly full room.
Make it somewhere more private,
she said, nodding.
I will have no troubles fighting you. What would you like me to bring back?
I'm not hungry, and you would have to feed me anyway with these damn hooves. So, nothing for me. I actually was hungry, but I really didn't want her to feed me.
Fine,
she said almost coldly.
Find us a private table.
Jesus, went from her good graces to making her upset that quickly? Bitches be trippin'. Anyway, I quickly left her presence, allowing her to take pick of whatever the fuck she wanted. Since I had a goal in mind this time, I wasn't too terribly worried about anyone trying to confront me. I was a fool. Barely half a minute after I escaped Luna, a group of about 5 mares approached me. That put me on my guard immediately, given my past experiences, but they all giggled when they saw my face harden.
We aren't here to steal you away, good sir,
the mare in front said, putting on one of the first genuine smiles I had seen all night. That's nice to hear, I answered, not trusting it in the slightest. How can I help you?
You already have,
another one answered.
It's good to see that hussy put in her place. Manners, dear,
another one said, patting the mare on the side of the hoof to me. She added,
Flair has a habit of seducing stallions, Those she desires rarely put up much of a fight. Those that do find bad things happen to them. With that reputation. So we're here to warn you.
The original one said.
What you did was well needed, but be wary. Fighting against somebody like her is honorable, and finding a stallion so loyal is commendable. But should you leave your princess's side for long in the coming weeks, you may have poor luck.
One mare finally finished. You need to worry about me, I said. This slut may be powerful and have some pull, but she would need a very long reach to bring any harm to me after this night's over. And my cutie mark is 2 weapons for a reason. She may attempt to harm my reputation, but she would be very hard-pressed to physically wound me.
Just be wary, good sir,
one of them said.
It would be a shame for something to happen to some pony so loyal and handsome.
I'll be fine, I replied with what I hoped was a winning smile. But I do need to go. My date has requested I obtain something for her. It would not do to keep her waiting.
It wouldn't,
the original chick said with a nod.
Come girls, let's see how Fancy Pants is taking it.
Each one of them smiled and nodded before the whole group took off. Bitches be trippin'. Anyway, with that little thing out of the way, I successfully managed to find a table in a relatively empty side room that had a privacy shield, should anyone want to use it. However, it seemed my troubles were still not quite over. A servant came by moments before I sat down and dropped off a note. Who's this from? I asked him since there were no names on it.
A nameless benefactor, sir,
he answered.
Now I'm afraid I must depart. There was much work to be done.
I didn't reply since he was already leaving. That said, I couldn't exactly open the letter either, with my shitty hooves. God, why would anyone want to be a fucking pony? This is awful. Thankfully, Luna arrived shortly after, levitating 2 plates next to her. When she reached the table, she set them down and pulled down the shield thing.
There. Now we may finally converse once more in private,
she said, smiling faintly. We could have just left, I said as she pushed one of the plates towards me. I didn't even consider touching it.
You were so insistent earlier that we, or at least I, attend,
she said.
And yet now you seem to so eager to depart. Is the party truly so deplorable?
I lifted one of my hooves. I am not a fucking horse, Luna. Being in this body practically makes me sick from how different it is. Look, I can't even open this fucking letter, I said, poking the thing with a hoof to no effect.
A letter?
She asked, grabbing it with magic.
Who is it from?
Nameless benefactor, I sighed. Either one more thing to add to a long list of shitty pony names, or just some random guy that wanted to stay anonymous. A servant dropped it off.
Well, let's see what it says,
she said, opening it and pulling out from the precious contents before beginning to read to herself. Where I come from, it's a felony to read someone else's mail, I said, my eyes narrowing slightly.
I don't think that is the case here,
she absentmindedly answered.
But it's just an invitation. One on a date coming soon. It's for Eagle, not Navarone.
And the Eagle will not exist past this tonight, so it doesn't matter, I said.
Are you sure?
She asked, looking up to me. Positive, I nearly growled. Might as well burn the damn invitation, or just throw it away.
So be it.
And just like that, the paper disappeared in a flash.
Now, let us dine.
She began to pick out random stuff on her plate. I just closed my eyes and relaxed, pretending to attempt to meditate, but probably not really doing anything other than looking stupid. After some time, she sighed.
Really? Are you not going to eat?
I told you I wasn't hungry, I answered, opening my eyes. Her plate was empty and she seemed annoyed. And the only way I could eat is if you shoved the face to my plate or you fed me. You don't want to feed me and I don't want to be fed, so there's no reason for me to eat.
It is disappointing that you have no desire to even try to use your hooves,
she said. It is disappointing that you expect me to try after me repeatedly saying how awful it is to be in this body.
Well, for me, the party is almost over. You shan't be trapped in such a form for long. There is just one more thing that needs to be done, ere we depart.
Good. Let's do it quickly then. I didn't like her smile.
Come then, Eagle. Let us dance.
All I could do in response was sigh.
'Twas you who made the offer early in the night,
She said, grinning.
I was merely waiting for the opportune time, or for you to ask me.
Good thing you didn't hold your breath. Then let's find the dance floor, I suppose, I said, pushing the plate away from me.
You're my date, Eagle.
She said, pushing the shield thing up.
Try to sound more enthusiastic.
No promises, I flatly replied. But dancing will be interesting, for better or worse.
Then come.
She said, standing. My wings twitched, but I joined her anyway. What the fuck else was I gonna do? Though for some reason she seemed to prance slightly as we walked, something that was rather disconcerting to me. I didn't comment on it though. It didn't seem like a wise idea. Soon enough, we reached the dance floor. Should we just jump in? I asked, eyeing the dancing couples. Ballroom etiquette isn't my thing,
We wait for the perfect moment.
she quietly said, and watching the slowly moving masses of dancers.
And insert ourselves.
She added, grabbing me and pulling me onto the floor.
Get your rhythm quickly.
She said, positioning herself appropriately. As much as I hate to say it, the lessons Pinky was forcing me to take paid off. It was different as a filthy horse, but the steps were similar enough that I could make do. So, I fell into a rhythm, dancing across the floor with the princess of the night, her hair constantly falling onto my face because of how it moved. Not the most pleasant of things, but she seemed to enjoy it well enough. We got through one song and danced on to the next, and then the next. Then we got to one where our partners were swapped. Personally, I was rather relieved about it. Not dancing with Luna was entirely unpleasant, but she was a lot taller than me as a pony, and it was really awkward and uncomfortable. So it was unfortunate that one of my partners ended up being Celestia.
And how are you enjoying the night, Eagle?
She coyly asked, putting a particular emphasis on the false name. It's alright, I answered, trying to hide the small surprise I felt to be dancing with someone as big as Celestia. Wish it was over, though.
If you want, I'm sure I can arrange something more entertaining for the two of us.
Not interested. I just want to get turned back as quickly as possible,
I suspect that was you.
she said, smiling widely.
I have a small warning, Nav.
Make it fast, I said, noticing we were close to swapping partners again.
Be mindful of your interactions with my sister. I heard what happened earlier.
It was taken care of, princess. From the smile she gave me, I had a feeling that wasn't quite what she meant. Before I could ask about it, however, she was swept away, getting replaced by a purple mare I was more familiar with.
You look familiar.
Twilight said, seeming rather shocked. I wonder why. I entered, smiling and taking her into my pseudo-arms.
Nav?
She slowly asked. And here I was, thinking you didn't even know how to dance, I said, tossing her off to the next partner, and so the dance went until Luna was once again in my possession. I'm getting tired, I said when the dance ended.
One more,
She said.
then we can get you turned back.
Deal. And of course, it turned out to be a slow dance. Since there wasn't much else to do aside from control the few steps I had to make, I let my eyes wander across the floor. Oddly enough, many of the couples I saw were either kissing or nuzzling or other weird things. When I looked back to Luna, I found that she was looking at me. In the light and with the smile on her face, with the night that we had and all the fun we had before, it made me realize something. Man, Luna's a fucking horse. Soon enough, the dance ended. She pulled me from the dance floor quickly enough. So we're done. I sighed in relief as she began leading me towards the maze where I left all my clothes.
Perhaps.
She said, flashing me a secretive smile. As long as I get turned back, I don't give a fuck. I sighed, popping my neck. We were nearing the maze at least.
You need not worry.
She said, moving closer to me as we walked. I unconsciously backed off from her, and by the time we got to the maze, I was almost touching the wall and she was actually leaning into me. My ears twitched when she draped a wing over me and stopped me from going any further.
This was nice,
She said, pulling me back to the middle as we continued to walk to where I left my clothes. I didn't respond.
We possibly made an enemy or two, but we made more friends, I think.
She continued.
And it was quite nice, hearing you defend me so.
I stayed quiet.
Ah, here we are,
She said when we found where we left our stuff just lying on the ground. None of it had been molested, thankfully.
Allow me to unwrap you,
She said, biting her lip lightly. Before I could say anything, she grabbed me with her magic and slowly started pulling the suit off of me, smiling all the while. Soon I stood before her naked but for my fur. It'll feel good to be back in my skin, I said, smiling and trying to ignore the growing pit of nervousness I felt in my stomach. I felt the change overtake me as my body corrected itself, turning into the proper form. It felt very right, much, much better. Of course, I immediately reached for my pants, but was stopped by a blue aura. When I looked up to ask her about it, there was suddenly a pony face in mine, pressing her mouth against mine. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Thankfully, the horrifying moment ended quickly. A blushing Luna pulled away from me in my very shocked form. Did you just... I stammered, lost and confused.
Is that not how dates end?
She asked, her blush subsiding slightly. But we... What?
We are, or were, acting as a couple, a date. I believe it is custom for dates to end with a kiss. Is it not? Considered the end of our act.
You had me worried there for a second, I said, a nervous chuckle escaping my mouth. So, can I put on my clothes now?
By all means,
She said, looking away. For a second I thought I saw some reaction on her face, but when I looked again she seemed relatively impassive, though slightly amused. Either way, I wasted no time putting some clothes on, the familiar weight and warmth settling over me and protecting my naked form from the world. Feels much better. I happily sighed, checking all my pockets to make sure I had everything I should.
Is there anything you desire or need from me before I depart?
Then I asked, looking back to me with a hint of hope. Not really, but... Are you okay? You seem... I don't know. Off.
I'm just... tired.
She said, though I had to say it sounded like a lie to me.
I had to wake up early for this party. Some rest will do me good.
Then go rest, I said. And don't forget that the summer wrap-up is coming soon. If you're interested in attending, I imagine the ponies in Ponyville would be happy to see you.
I will make an effort to attend,
She said.
But farewell for now, Nav.
See you later, I replied, nodding. Her horn lit up and for a second I thought I was about to get hugged again, but instead she just teleported out. Man, she keeps teleporting instead of walking. She's gonna grow as plump as Celestia. But that wasn't my problem. I just started walking out of the maze, looking for the exit and whistling an old song. Despite being stuck as a horse for so long, the night really wasn't that bad. If I was smarter, I would have foreseen the beginnings of a very big problem that night. Thank you to my wonderful Tier 1 Patreons: Balance Kindness, Chase Lemaster, Dreamless Portal, Hyperlink, Jason, HK4, Aka Texture, Night and Game, Macario, Pony Entertainment, Starlight Blaze, and Rain Flicker. My Tier 2s: Captain Blue Shadow, Chaotic Mist, The Enemy Ghost, TGMax 2000, Elemental Wolf, H1 Wolf, King Potato 20, Mr. Crazy Deacon, Mackenzie McCullough, Nocturne, Papa Leonard, Redeemer of Dark, Solus Eclipse, Sword Brother and Mordred, and RD Bryant. A large thank you to my previous time tiers: Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, and Maverick. And a large thank you to my current ones: User 1842 and Silent Titan. I appreciate your support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.